I'm sorry, are these signs too subtle that I'm adding a second night to the Dolby Theater in Los Angeles and I'm playing Radio City Music Hall the night before Carnegie Hall? I'm sorry, Eric, what were you saying, darling? Because I have a heck of a story to tell. I mean, first of all, it's unprecedented and truly historic. So never before in the history of this country has a sitting United States president used the power of the Oval Office, his first family, and we'll get into them in a minute. I don't know if you've seen the older brother, Eddie Munster. But anyway, I'm not holding back, obviously. And also then for them to take it so far as to like make me the latest in the wood chipper of the right-wing media. And by the way, I love people that think I was holding Donald Trump's severed head. Like I went to the White House, got the head, took a picture, and then gave it back. Here you go. It was a Halloween mask with ketchup. Let's all calm down. And then to be put under a real live 2-month federal investigation for 2 months because they were thinking of charging me with, wait for it, conspiracy to assassinate the President of the United States. Like it just all became so crazy that pretty much day one I started thinking, I've got to be able to put this through a comedy prism. And frankly, I'm just going to drop a name. I got a great call from Jim Carrey and I was sobbing. And I said, is it over? You can tell me I'm a big girl. And he said, Kathy, you have a story that any comedian would give their right arm for. He goes, you're the most famous comedian in the world today. Use it. And then I started thinking, yeah, it's so nuts. It's unprecedented. And, you know, like the right-wing stuff is proving, like I said, that I was actually holding a severed head or I broke the law and all this stuff. You don't check your Twitter timeline. You're going to get a lot of robots saying lock her up, but in like broken English. And it just became so over the top that I thought, I've got to literally take this show on the road. It's the only thing I know how to do. And I picked up a lot of funny stories along the way, so it's not a big Trump lecture. I don't know if you know who my neighbors were during this ordeal, but their names are Kim Kardashian West and Kanye Kardashian West, who's a free thinker. I don't know if you've heard. But, you know, just being next door to them during all this, where there was always something crazy going on, fun crazy. And don't act like you don't want to hear about the first time my boyfriend and I went over to their house, because you do. And I tell it in graphic detail. I read on stage a note I got from Billy Bush, and I'm just telling you it's funny. I don't know if it was meant to be funny, but it's real and it's funny. And, you know, so I kind of tell the Trump stuff because it is the elephant in the room and people do want to hear sort of the gory details. But I sort of pepper it throughout the show with comedy because, you know, I want to remind people like this is stuff we can laugh at now. Enough time has passed. Nobody was injured in the taking of this photo. No animals were harmed. So I think people are finally sort of coming around going, yeah, maybe we kind of overreacted. I would think so. I would think it. I mean, when when we hear about stuff like everybody thought I was crazy when I came out and I said Donald Trump talks to Harvey Levin of TMZ regularly. And everyone's like, yeah, right. And now we see that he talks to Sean Hannity nightly. So I think that this is the sort of thing, like he's not doing a lot of presidenting. I don't know if you noticed, but I feel like this is the sort of thing that he would be happy to spend a couple of hours of his day doing. So, you know, who knows? But you can totally see him calling, the Inquirer as John Miller or John Barron, and not disguising his voice at all, going, it's me, not the president. Make Kathy Griffin go away, decimate her. So, like I said, after a while, I mean, can you imagine, like, no president in history has ever done this. Every president has been parodied in every possible way. So the fact that they took it so far, and like I said, when I went overseas and played 15 countries and 23 cities, and I was detained at every airport because I'm still on the Interpol list, I have to think that it's coming from somebody pretty freaking far up high. Oh, I'm calling them all out. The heck with them. Although my favorite was Deborah Messing because I've known Deborah for a long time. And I kind of like called her on it and she sent me the nicest email. And then she did an Instagram post encouraging people to get tickets for Radio City and the Dolby in Los Angeles. So I was like, okay, that's really sweet. And basically she just reached out and said, honestly, when I tweeted that, I didn't know how bad it was for you. So I am kind of giving people a pass. I'm also down to almost no friends and kind of happily so. Like I've got my puppies, about 8 gay guys, my boyfriend, and my drunken mother. And by the way, my drunken mother who watches Fox with the sound off, I had to spend an hour convincing her that I'm not in Al-Qaeda. And I said, Mom, I don't think they're recruiting a lot of 57-year-old red-haired comedians. And then she said, why can't you just try stamp collecting? So, things like that, you just have to put in the act because they're real. And people that have been coming to my shows know that my mom would totally say that. So I'm picking up new stuff. I went to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Have I got stories? So I've got a lot of tea to spill. I would say take a bathroom break before the show, or just wear a colostomy bag because you're going to need it. Oh, I'm sorry, not just fired, banned for life. So Don Jr. tweets that I should be fired from CNN, where I never was an employee. I worked there one night a year. And then he then tweets again, like, that's not enough, ban her. And then they do. They banned me for life, which I just think is hilarious. So I'm just like, okay, add it to the list of bannings. You know, I've been banned before. This is not new for me. But I thought, CNN, really? But they felt the need to make a big statement. You know, I would prefer that he not call Trump his boy. I do think it was interesting that he admitted that he didn't know who Candace Owens is. He didn't really know about conservatism. I thought it was definitely, like, I have to admit, really juicy, even though I'm sure it was wrong. But did you see that he just started tweeting out private texts from John Legend? So John Legend is like a very politically engaged guy, and his wife is really funny and she's politically engaged. And I thought, oh my God. And so I started texting Kanye, and he didn't tweet any of mine. I was pissed.